I'm Jasmine Moradi, and you're listening to the Queens of Tech podcast, a podcast series about raising the voice of workplace champions. 60 plus questions in around 30 to 40 minutes with women, women of color, non-binary, and transgender influencers about their journey into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I started the Queens of Tech podcast initiative in May 2022 because I would like to retain more women, women of color, non-binary, and transgenders in the tech industry. Talent is out there, but our work environment needs to improve for all to feel safer, stay authentic, and to be valued for our contributions. My vision is to raise the workplace ecosystem for all in tech by killing the imposter syndrome, stopping bad behavior, and increasing equity opportunities. Each podcast talk is built around 60 plus questions regarding upbringing, education, career path, DIB, and future advice. My mission is to bridge the gap between schools and workplaces by getting into the heart of my guest's personal life and career journey to inspire other girls, women of color, non-binary, and transgenders to unleash their full potential to reach top leadership roles in the tech industry. My goal is to raise the voices of tech champions around the world and together with companies, investors, and politicians, raise the challenges and opportunities around equity, inclusive, diversity, and belonging in our workplaces. Enough is enough. I would like to enforce companies to build a sustainable, inclusive culture to retain diverse talent so we keep the workforce power equity to continue building future diverse and inclusive products. Representation matters. Your voice matters. In this episode, I'm very excited to welcome my guest, Tech Queen Alexandra David, Enterprise Solutions Consultant at Figma. Bonjour, Alexandra.
Bonjour, Jasmine.
Very happy to have you joining us all the way from Paris, right?
Absolutely. And thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. It was so lovely to meet you in person, and now I get to know you even deeper. So let us dive into your journey into STEM. Hope you're ready for the Queens of Tech 60 plus questions.
Let's go.
Let's warm up with a few fun facts about you. How would you describe your personality in 3 hashtags?
Curious mind, empathetic, and innovative thinker.
How would you summarize your life in 3 sentences?
I faced many challenges. I'm a lifelong learner and I did my best.
What kind of music stimulates and motivates you the most?
Definitely rock and rolls. It fuels my energy. I love David Bowie, The Clash, also the Libertines, more recent.
What is your personal motto?
Learn, adapt, and grow.
What is your favorite book?
I would say that Arendt, Crisis in the Culture, has been key for me.
What is your favorite podcast?
I'm a huge listener of podcasts in business, but more personally, I would say Bon Comment. This is an analysis of romantic movie, but in a fun way.
Mac or PC?
Mac, definitely.
Say something interesting about you that most people don't know.
When I was younger at the college, I used to write a biography on a cultural. It was my first book and the last book I wrote too. But it was really fun.
Don't say the last, huh? You never know.
Yeah, you're right.
What is your hidden talent?
I think I'm a karaoke enthusiast, and this is quite challenging to have me during the night when I have the mic. I don't let it to be others.
And here comes the book. So if you were going to, and maybe you might, to write a book about your life, what would the title be?
Waves of curiosity.
Great start. Now, let us dig deeper. Our childhood has a profound effect on our adulthood. Our early experiences shape our belief about ourselves, others, and the world. Now, I want to discover your childhood. Where did you grow up, and how did it shape your early experiences?
I grew up in the south of France, in a town named Marseille, And this is facing, the Mediterranean Sea with multiple peoples, different cultures. And I think it shaped, my curiosity, but always being open-minded and open to other cultures, not just mine.
And what was your dream job when you were a child?
To be a journalist, like Louis Lane, uncovering, different stories and everything like that. Quite exciting, actually.
What was your favorite subject in school?
History and languages.
What was your least favorite subject?
So we had a class in French, I don't know how it is in other countries, but named technology, but nothing related, to computer science. It was more about, crafting stuff, objects, and things like this. And it was, to be honest, quite boring.
What was then your earliest memory of technology and the arrival of the internet?
Do you remember the Mac named iMac G3? I loved the design. It was blue one. I think there was like another version of it, but I was like, oh my God, what is this object? This is so beautiful. And when I opened it for the first time, I was fascinated. And on the internet, the song we're connecting to it.
It was a laptop that was blue, right?
Yeah. This one was a laptop. It was the first Mac, like a design version of it. It was nothing related to the Windows 97, which is, contemporary.
So it was a laptop. What other technology gadgets did you own, and how did they influence your interest in tech?
I was a huge fan, of my Walkman. Was always traveling with it or going to school with it. And also a huge fan of Game Boy. I was fascinated by these two objects.
And during that period of time when you were growing up, who was your female role model, and what about her inspired you?
This is a good one, but to be honest, I was born at the end of the 80s. And when I think about this question, I didn't have. So I would say probably, first some members of my family, such as my mother, but also, cousin of my mother. She was from Corsica and she was a strong character and a really independent woman, despite the kind of society she was living on. But after, I would say different writers, and maybe politic women too. I didn't have like somebody, like a female figure to identify.
So how do you think, based on what you said, where you grew up in Marseille and the school you went to and the generation you come from influence your education and career choice?
It definitely shapes me. But after for the career, I think this is more personal because my mother, she was working in a pharmacy. So it was quite different, She was a scientist. She didn't know about technology and it was far away from my father too. I did it probably based on my experiences.
Very interesting. Let us now dig into your career. But before that, I'm going to read two quotes. First one, how does the universe expect me to choose a career path at 16? I can't even choose what I want for dinner. Second, Abraham Lincoln said, I quote, the best way to predict your future is to create it. So, Alexandra, let us dig into your career then. Where and what did you end up studying at university?
I did many things. I have 3 masters. Basically, I start with languages at Aix-en-Provence. Then I finish, at La Sorbonne at the same time in history. Then after I did information science at ICP. And this is what I have done, but like in 5 years, all these things.
Who and what influenced you to get into a specific choice and field then?
Internships, to be honest. It gave me a lot. Has been my first contact with my universe in tech.
So what professionals have you had from your internships until the role you have today?
I started as a business analyst in bank, and this is where I got familiar with the technology environment because I was working with many providers. And then I joined one of the provider I was working with, and this is how it starts, and I had different roles into this company. I started as a consultant, an implementation consultant, until being a solution consultant or solution engineer.
And today you work at Figma. So what does Figma do for people that don't know?
Yeah, so Figma is a design technology, and this is one of the leader. And I joined Figma as an enterprise ICS.
And what is your responsibility in a role like that?
So basically, this is demos, aligning technology with the value of the tool that can provide and aligning all of them to the business objective of the client.
And you mentioned that you got into this field because of internship, but how did you end up getting this role?
I applied on LinkedIn.
And what does a typical workday or work week look like for you?
This is quite different from a day to another one. And guess what? This is what I prefer and why I think this job is fantastic because, yeah, you don't have like a routine, which is quite boring, to be honest.
I love the quote, choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. So Alexandra, what is it that you love the most about your role?
The challenge. This is evolving continuously. This is different from a client to another one.
And what has been the best experience you've had? Any examples you can share with us?
So I used to work for another American company and we used to have a contract with one of the big, F1 team. And personally, this is something I'm really proud of because we had the logo of the company I used to work with on a F1 car. So when I'm looking to GP, seeing that right now, I'm thinking about all the moments I shared with the team and also with this client.
What is the biggest challenge you've encountered and how did you end up tackling them?
This is a good one. First, I will say that challenge, this is good. And this is not something you need to fear, to be honest, because this is feeding you and this is shaping you too. So I face many, how do I do? Staying calm and thinking about the plan and how we are going to align as a team in order to solve it.
And what do you wish everybody understood about your role?
Just understanding what I'm doing, because when I'm saying to anybody, what is this process, I wish sure they understand what I'm doing.
And what is the one common myth about your professional field that you want to disapprove?
Many people think that this is just technical stuff, but this is not, you have to have a business view to be good at SEO. You cannot just like being good in technology because you will fail, to be honest. So adaptability and also, being curious, not just about technology, but you need to also, to interest in other fields.
And what is it that you love about working, especially in the tech industry?
You met different people. Today I'm working with engineers, I'm working with developers, I'm working with different people, and this is really enriching. And this is tech. You have different people and really smart people.
Oprah Winfrey said, I quote, think like a queen. A queen is not afraid to fail. Failure is not a stepping stone to greatness. So Alexandra, what has by far been your biggest achievement in your career?
Deal I was mentioning before in the sports industry has been the best achievement as a team. When I'm thinking about this team, I'm really proud of all the work we have done and all the collaboration in order to achieve it.
And what would you say is the biggest factors help you become successful? What are your success habits?
This is a good one. So as I mentioned, don't think you know everything because you never know everything and you can't be an expert. You have always to challenge yourself. So my success habit, I read a lot, to be honest, articles, listening to podcasts, trying to do my best to be familiar with those concepts and not having the postulate that I know everything.
And how do you measure your performance at work knowing you're successful?
This is a good one too, but I think first from your peers and from the reaction and the behavior, of your clients. So the feedbacks are so important.
And then, Alexandra, we know with success comes failures. You've talked about challenges, but what is your biggest failure in your career and what did you learn from it?
Sometimes you take risk in this business and taking risks, which is like working for smaller companies, for example. But I don't think there is failure, to be honest, because you have like context around you, that is, the economy and everything. So you take a challenge, which is risky, but after you are always learning from that. So I think this is good.
And what would you say is inspiring and motivate you the most in your role and career right now where you're standing?
I am in an universe that is evolving a lot. We have so many topics that are arriving, such as AI and many things. Again, listen to learn and to try in order to grow. So this is what is motivating me the most.
Amazing. So let us now jump into the influencer, mentor, role models, champion, and sponsors. To our listeners, role models can consciously or subconsciously be a powerful force in our lives. In addition, champion can stand up and advocate for us and open up the world of possibilities. Sponsors match emerging talent with leaders and influential employees who can help us move ahead in our careers. So, Alexandra, do you have a mentor, champion, or a sponsor today?
Yeah, I have one. I used to work with him, and he was a sales leader. And I know this is a person I can call like this, asking questions, and he will always be honest with me. And I can really rely on him to tell me you're wrong or do it, but you know that this is risky, and providing good advice.
And that is great because history shows that it's been more common for men having mentors, champions, and sponsoring business than women. So, how important do you think is to have a mentor, champion, or sponsor through one's career?
This is so important. And you have sponsors, but you have allies too, as you mentioned, peers. And yeah, this is the most important. You know, you need to be honest, to exchange with other people in order to get their way of thinking and to open your mind to on situation you are facing.
Let us now move on to leadership. Adena Friedman, President and CEO of Nasdaq, said, I quote, empowering those around you to be heard and valued makes a difference between a leader who simply instructs and one who inspires. And Shirley Sandberg, ex-COO of Facebook, said, I quote, leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that the impact lasts in your absence. So, Alexandra, what does leadership mean to you?
A good leader is somebody that is inspiring everyone, leading also by example, and giving the possibility to the team to grow. It's so important to like show the path.
And what would you say distinguish a good leader from a bad leader then?
So as I mentioned, I think that the bad leader is not doing that.
And who is your favorite female non-binary or transgender tech leader and why?
Megan Smith, I have a huge admiration for this woman. She has a career that is really inspiring everyone from Apple to Google. She has been the CEO of the US during Obama, you know, and she has always tried to change at the level of the tech, but also, you know, at the level of the mentality. She is an icon and she's somebody I really admire.
And how would you describe yourself as a leader?
I used to be a leader and I always try to do my best in order to guide them, guide the team, you know, to show them, to grow with them too, and always try to be more collaborative as a leader with others leaders.
And as a leader then, what values do you prioritize the most?
Transparency, I would say inclusion and also growth.
And what leadership lessons have you learned that have shaped you into the leader you are today?
I'm not a leader today, just working. If I think as leader of myself, listening activity, always have the possibility to be transparent and to have this mind of growing.
And what would you say are your 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses? As
I mentioned, I think curious, you know, I'm super curious. I want to always understand everything. But this is also, you know, a weakness because you are losing a lot of time on that, always trying to understand everything. As I mentioned, you know, I'm always innovative. But again, this is always a weakness too, because you want always to challenge yourself. You want to have the best of yourself and to do the best of yourself. So the exigence of me is a weakness. And I'm trying to do my best to not be like this anymore, you know. And as I mentioned, always the will to grow. And this could be also, you know, weakness because, as I mentioned already, it's an exigence. Sometimes you need to just step down.
Let us now then jump into the hottest topic in business today. You did mention inclusion, so it's workplace culture, unlocking the power of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So, Alexandra, what does diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging mean to you personally?
Creating a space, you know, where everyone feels valued, heard, and also, you know, empowered to contribute. I think this is important. I used to work in companies, not taking care of it. And this is like difficult, to be honest, because yeah, I think this is more than just a topic, to be honest. It should be something that is just one priority for all fields.
So, what do you consider being 3 to 5 signs of good company culture if you were to join a new company tomorrow?
Transparent communication, and we mentioned inclusive hiring practices, commitment to health and well-being too. These criteria I'm valuing.
And as a woman, what has been the most significant political or culture barrier in your career, and how have you overcome these challenges?
I think you said everything, you know, being a woman, being different too. You have always a difference everywhere, you know, but being a woman in the world of men and how I overcome it, maybe like we were talking about pressure before. When you are younger, you have a pressure about that and you just need to calm down, to step down and yeah, to find a way. As you mentioned, you know, you have mentors. It could be men, you know, also. This is my case. My mentor is a man. This is my main sponsor. So yeah, Trust people and do your best, and after you will see.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Men can also be one's mentors. So, absolutely. So, how do you discuss DIB challenges such as salary gaps, promotion, or maternity leave, etc., with your colleagues, peers, or community?
When I started my career, this is topics we're not mentioning, but I think this is more linked to the different generation. When I started, I was like 23, 24. So I was not discussing with my peers, in bank about that. Right now, I'm working in technology for so many years. And this is quite different because we have the possibility to speak on that. And this is topics you pick more. But yeah, I think it depends, on the generation and where you are and the context too. But this is evolving well in this sense because the new generation is so more open. We were talking about inclusivity and everything. I think they would change the things. Maybe, in the future, talk more openly about that.
Hopefully, we're not going backwards. So, yes.
I hope so too.
Because there are many public and internal discussion about the barriers women of color, non-binary, and transgender individuals face from reaching higher position or receiving funding in the tech industry. How would you say these issues has affected you, and what is your advice on overcoming these roadblocks?
Yeah, so I think that we are all aware as women, how it is going to be. But again, yeah, we need to stay calm. We need to trust each other, not just women, but also men. And it's changed a lot, to be honest, from when I started to right now. And let's hope, it will continue like this.
We also know that tech companies invest heavily in marketing, attracting women of color, non-binary, and transgender individuals. However, they're struggling to retain them because articles show that women are leaving the tech industry. What is your best advice or strategies for how companies can work to build a stronger corporate culture that engages DIB?
First thing is continue to value that. I think this is so important and have a strategic strategy, internally, as you mentioned, to have DAB and everything like this. This is so important. And they will have everyone, involved. If they do that, they will not leave the company, women, others.
However, what would you say are the key challenges of implementing a DIB culture in a workplace and in tech industry today?
This is a challenge. Many companies are working on that. I'm still working on that. And we should value it because difference is so important. This is the way you will win everything. And this is a way to be successful. You can't be with people, that are similar to you. I don't think this is something that is, allowing you to be successful and wishing you on the daily basis.
And how much do you think the tech industry has changed regarding DIB since you joined?
Before, this is not topic, especially in finance, to be honest. We were not talking about women, transgender, or, different LGBTQ or everything. It was like not even a conversation between them, as colleagues. And right now, this is something we are valuing, especially in the US companies I used to work with. And I think there is, still way to improve, but we are not, at the same level we used to.
And looking back on your own career, what one thing would you have changed in your working environment to break the bias?
I would say nothing, to be honest, because I did what I did my best, and I learned a lot based on it. I think doing errors, having BRs is well, because it is allowing you to change.
And looking forward, what actions will you take to reduce bias and improve the IB for the next generation in tech?
Speaking like today, writing on that. I could write more articles and saying to them to take care of it too, because I think for the next generation, they have something to do with that.
I look forward to reading your articles. Let us move on to another hot topic in business today, which is work-life balance and mental health. Alexandra, how do you take care of yourself to maintain good mental health?
Taking time for me, before, being pregnant as now, I was typing a lot. Right now, I'm trying to work a lot, taking moments for you. And I love, to trek alone in mountains, but also, doing that with my partner or with friends. So it is something you need to take care. And I really like the fact to be in mountains without connection to internet or without having your phone. This is like allowing you to be self-centered and also, to meet other people you will not speak to in the real life because you are so focused on other things and on a daily routine.
Well, congratulations. When is the baby due?
Thank you. June.
So pretty soon, huh?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced a burnout then during your career?
No, fortunately, to be honest. But I saw it, on others. But I think when it was at the end, and where is your limit. And it was my case. And I was stepping down before it. And this is so important to step down, to take time for you. And yeah, we were talking about, the fact to have an existence on ourselves. I think this is a part too. So you need to self-centered, you need to take time, you need to breathe. Getting older, you think of that, but you need also to prioritize differently, which was not the case when you are younger. When you are younger, you have things to do, you want to do everything. When you are getting older, this is quite different.
What is then your advice? Because you seem to know how to do for yourself and etc. And what is your advice on how companies can create a more mentally healthy workplace in the new now?
The companies that are allowing you, to take time off, just not your holidays, that allows you to grow and to do.
And what would you say motivates you every day to get out of bed?
Because I know that I'm going to hear from other people, to meet other people, to learn other things, which is, what is motivating me the most.
Now let's wrap up with a few words of wisdom and a piece of advice for listeners. Alexandra, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given that has helped you during setbacks in your role and career?
This is quite funny to say that, but when I was doing an internship, somebody told me, Alexandra, the life is a marathon. I was like, why is she saying that to me? This is so stupid. And right now I'm getting older. I'm 38. I totally understand what she was like meaning. And this is true. This is a marathon you have to run. And your career is a marathon. And you can not give the best of yourself each time. So this is where you need to have a balance and to find way, to balance your life with your work, etc. So I totally understand. I think it was a good advice. Even if, at the beginning I was thinking it was weird feedback.
And then what would you say is the worst advice you ever received and how did you handle that?
So it was during this internship, somebody told me you have to stay in your comfort zone. I think this is the worst advice you can say to somebody, not challenge you, stay where you are doing like good work. So stay there. And this is so stupid to say that because you have always to challenge yourself. If you don't challenge yourself, first, you are going to be bored. And I think it will be, as you mentioned, difficult to go out from your bed on a daily basis. You have no sense on your life.
And is there something you wish you would have known or a skill you wish you had when starting out in the tech industry?
No, to be honest, because if I knew nothing or if I had like good skills or if I was like super good to something, I will not learn. Maybe I will stay, with it and I will be super happy. So I prefer, to struggle and to continue to learn. And it was the same with development, 1 year ago, I didn't know nothing about coding. And I did a boot camp after leaving my previous company in the churn after, Figma. And it was the best thing I ever learned. And it has been challenging, because it was like learning something I didn't know. And this is super challenging coming back to school. But it was the best, to be honest.
And if you had the ability to go back in time to when you were just at the beginning of your career, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Continue to work as you do and don't put so much pressure on you.
And what advice will you give to young girls, women of color, non-binary and transgenders who are trying to break into STEM fields today, especially wanting to become next generation leaders and founders?
Stay curious. Don't push pressure on you, even if you are coming from different background, and never stop learning.
Last but not least, Alexandra, what is next for you in your role and career in tech? What are your career aspirations?
Continue to learn. As I mentioned, many other topics are going to come. The technology is going to grow, the economy is going to change, and just learning and growing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Queens of Tech podcast, sharing your journey will without a doubt inspire change and reshape company culture for the next generation of women of color, non-binary and transgender leaders and founders in tech.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for listening. For more podcast episodes and to learn more about the Queens of Tech initiative and to support us, visit queensof.tech.